11.5 gets into a little bit more difficult types of probabilities. We're going to have or and probabilities. All right, so these are two formulas that you can use. Some people don't like to use the formulas. They just like to count or just can think about it. But if you want formulas, here they are. So first, if you have an or problem, you take the probability of each one separately, add them together, but then you have to subtract out the overlap. Okay, so for example, if I'm going to roll a die and I want the probability of getting, let's see, an odd number or a number greater than 2. Okay, I want it to be odd or greater than 2. So again, this is pretty easy. You can just count them, but if we're going to use the formula, here's what it's looked like. An odd number, 1, 3, and 5. So 3 out of the 6 are odd. A number greater than 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 4 out of 6. So obviously, if you just add those together, you get 7 out of 6. That doesn't work. All right, so you have to subtract out the overlap, what I call the overlap. So if you think about it, again, an odd number was 1, 3, and 5. Number greater than 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have to count the overlap. 3 and 5 are included in both of these, so you have to subtract out 2 out of 6. Okay, so again, this is 1, 3, and 5. I'll just write it out. 1, 3, and 5. This one is 3, 4, 5, and 6. And this one would be 3 and 5. That's where those top numbers come from. 3 numbers, 4 numbers, and 2 numbers. So we end up getting 5 out of 6. Okay, and the only number left over would be 2. All right. If we want an and probability, this has to be when you do more than one thing, when you do 2 things, or you could do 3 or 4, but we'll just do 2. Okay, so I couldn't ask the same question, just put an and in there. All right, we're going to roll a die twice. Okay, you're going to roll a die twice and find the probability an odd number, then a number greater than 2. You have to go in a certain order, otherwise it gets even more complicated. Okay, so probability that our first one is odd would be 3 out of 6. Greater than 2 would be times 4 out of 6. So we end up with 12 out of 36, which is 1/3. Okay, so it's an or if you're just going to do one thing. It's an and if you're going to do 2 things. All right, so we're just going to do a bunch of problems out of the book. They all go with one thing, but on page 679, we're going to look at 29 through 40. Now, unfortunately, the cards that they're talking about are on the previous page, 678, so you'll have to kind of look back and forth. So what they want us to do for 29 through 36 is answer questions twice. First with replacement and second without replacement. Okay, so just to save some time, I'm not going to write this all out. So 29 wants them to both show birds. So 5 out of 20 of them are birds times another 5 out of 20. Again, because that's with replacement. So our first card wants to be a bird and our second card wants to be a bird with replacement. So that's 25 out of 400, which simplifies to 1 out of 16. Now, if we do it without replacement, your first one is going to stay the same. That's the nice part about these, is your first one's going to stay the same. It's only your second one that's going to change. So again, this means our first one was a bird. That means there's only 4 birds left out of the 19. Okay, think about it. This is guaranteeing you pulled 1 bird out and you're not putting it back. So there are now only 4 birds left and there are only 19 total cards left. So that gives you 20 out of 380, which simplifies to 1 out of 19. Number 30 wants them both to be 3s. So this is very similar. Now there's only 4 3s. So 4 out of 20 times 4 out of 20 would give us 16 out of 400, which is 1 out of 25. Now, some people are saying, well, why don't you simplify these first? You are more than welcome to do that. It would be easier. 1/5 times 1/5, you could get 1/25 right away. Okay, I'm just going to write it all out, but if you want to simplify it first, that does make it a little bit easier. Obviously not as easy over here since we're going to be at a 19, but this one makes it a little bit easier. Without replacement then is still 4 out of 20 for the first one. Again, we took a 3 out, so there's only 3 out of 19 left. So 12 out of 380 ends up as 3 out of 95. 31, this one and again is in a certain order. They want it to be a bird, then a monkey. So there are 5 out of 20 that are birds and 5 out of 20 that are monkeys. So 25 out of 400 or 1/16 again. Obviously, once you've done it once, you don't have to keep writing out the 25 over 400, but I'll be looking for these. I'll be looking for the simplified ones. Okay, so if your simplified one is right, then I'm not really going to look at that part, but if your simplified one is wrong, I need to look back. So I would for sure at least show those numbers. Or again, if you want to do 1/4 times 1/4, that's fine. Part B, this one's going to be a little bit different than what we have been doing. 5 out of 20 times 5 out of 19. These are different animals. This is a bird, this is a monkey. That's why I didn't have to go down on the top number, just on the bottom number. So now 25 out of 380 gives me 5 out of 76. 32 wants a 2, then a 4. So again, there are 4 2s and 4 4s. So 4 out of 20 times 4 out of 20. Again, I'm going to just take less time. That's 1 out of 25 I've already figured out. Part B, 4 out of 20. That one doesn't change. The second one changes, and here's what you have to think. These are 2 different cards, 2 and a 4. So we still have 4 4s left, but only 19 cards left. So 16 out of 380 is 4 out of 95. $33 wants a yellow bird and then a lion. So there are 2 yellow birds, so 2 out of 20, and 5 lions, 5 out of 20. 10 out of 400 gives me 1 out of 40. Part B, again, 2 out of 20 is not going to change. 5 doesn't change because those are different animals. So 10 out of 380 gives me, oh wait, what did, yeah. Oh, sorry. This should be 4. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Sorry. Looking at my wrong problem. 4 lions. So 8 out of 400 is 1 out of 40. No. Oh, no. No, no, no. This is right. Sorry. This one was right. 10. 1 out of 40. This is right. I just did it wrong in my paper. So this is going to be 1 out of 38. There we go. Sorry. 2 yellow birds, 5 lions. 34 wants both of the cards to be even. So there are 8 even cards. And again, with replacement, so we put them all back. So 64 out of 400 is 4 out of 25. For part B, 8 out of 20 and then 7 out of 19 because again, these are the same, even. So one of them goes away. So 56 out of 380. Which is 14 out of 95. $35 wants neither even. Now, some people think, well, since these are both even, I can just subtract and get 21 out of 25. That's not true because then you're not counting where you have one even and one odd. Okay, so for 35, though, when it says neither even. I just like to think of it as odd, but it's up to you. Okay, or you can do this part though. 8 of them are even, which means 12 of them are odd or not even. So you can think of it that way, but you can't just make it 21 out of 25 for your final answer. 12 out of 20, 12 out of 20, 144 out of 200, which is 9 out of 25. And then 12 out of 20, 11 out of 19. 132 out of 380, which is 33 out of 95. And finally, 36 wants a lion and then a red bird. So 5 are lions and 3 are red birds. 15 out of 400 is 3 out of 80. And then again, the lions stay the same. There are still 3 red birds, but only 19 cards. So 15 out of 380, and that's 3 out of 76. Okay, so that's a lot of problems. Those are all and problems. That's why we multiplied all of those. Okay, so when you're doing 2 things, you have to find the probability of each one and multiply them together. So 2 separate cards or 2 whatever. You're going to do 2 things at a time or 3 things at a time, whatever it is. You just multiply them all together. Again, making sure you know whether it's with replacement or without replacement. The rest of them, starting with 37, now we're just going to pick 1 card. All right, so this is where the or and the and are different. This is 1 card. 37 is a lion or an even number. So obviously you can just count these, but I'm going to show you in case you don't have something to count. So 5 out of 20 are lions. 8 out of 20 are even. 2 of the lions are even. So 2 of them got counted twice. So we end up with 11 out of 20. 38, yellow bird or less than 3. So 2 out of 20 are yellow. 8 out of 20 are less than 3. And 1 of those yellow birds is less than 3. So again, this is the and, this is the overlap. Okay, so this represents the 1 yellow bird that's less than 3. That gives us 9 out of 20. 39, a lion or a 3. So 5 of them are lions, 4 of them are 3s, 1 of them is a 3, a lion with a 3 on it. So that's 8 out of 20, which is 2 out of 5. And the last one is a red bird or an even. So 3 out of 20 are red, 8 out of 20 are even, and there's 1 red bird that is even. So 10 out of 20, which is 1/2. Again, this is only grabbing 1 card rather than 2 cards like the first set was. Okay. If you want some problems to practice, page 678, number 23 through 28, and then 49 through 58.